Started. Hello, everyone. This is a very interesting topic we have today. I know it's very relevant with everything going on, but today we're going to talk about how breweries and distilleries can maximize their digital presence during COVID. So a bit about myself. My name is David Lebovic. I am the principal of WSI Digital Strategy. We're based here in Los Angeles. We're a full-service digital marketing agency. For myself, I have over 20 years of marketing and advertising experience working with brands such as Toyota, Adobe, Warner Brothers, several other entertainment brands. But today, I'm helping breweries and distilleries connect with their customers via digital means. And truth be told, I'm an avowed bourbon and rye lover. So if that's any of you in that vertical, I'd definitely love to talk to you following this. So to begin, let's talk about, so there's basically two different trends that I want to highlight that sort of seem mutually exclusive at first, but actually tie in really well together with all this, and I'll explain. So before we go forwards, let's look backwards. Let's go back to March of this year, March 2020, and what a month it was. I sort of call it season one of the pandemic. A lot of watching Tiger King and sharing sourdough bread recipes, what have you. But really what you see here, the big trend going on is a tremendous growth in online alcohol beverage sales. And this is a study that actually Nielsen had conducted. What it is they measured alcohol online sales 2019 versus 2020, and what you see here is just the immense growth in online sales beginning at the beginning of March, upwards of 2, 3, 4, almost 5 times growth by the time you get to the end of April. And sort of taking a macro view and looking at a bigger sort of a macro view of this, let's talk about just the online searches in general. What we have here, some data is from Google Trends. The first data point you have here, we're looking here at the beginning of April. This is basically this online search queries around online shopping that maxed out at around 100 back in April before sort of flattening out over the course of the rest of the year. And now that we're in November and towards the end of the year, you're seeing it's really hit those original peak pandemic levels. And really, I think there's 2 reasons for this. First, obviously, there's a big uptick in people searching for holiday gifts, things like that. But also, unfortunately, we're really starting to see, COVID starting to come back. We're starting to see those lockdowns come back in, which is really unfortunate. But because of that, we are getting more people looking to purchase goods online. The other trend I want to talk about that I think is very important is really the movement to shop local. And I know this past weekend was a small business Saturday, and actually a small brewery Sunday as well. But with both of these, just from a national media perspective, I just pulled a few clips here, but there's been a really, really big push to, encourage people to shop locally. The small businesses that are really hitting it the most because of COVID, that are, facing closures and things like that. So there's been a lot of interest in supporting local business. And, to go back to Google Trends as well, this really bores out in those online searches as well too. We have that the first spike here back at the end of March here. Really a lot of interest in shopping local. So again, people, when they were leaving their house, buying from local places, maybe curbside pickup, or things like that. But really looking to see what local businesses have to sell. Now, fast forward now we're in November. Actually, now beginning in December, we're seeing that really big surge in search interest going again, and that's no doubt part to the small business Saturday. But I think again, just with these closures and people wanting to support businesses, it's just there's a lot of interest, a lot of heat around that right now. So what these 2 pieces really mean and how they fit together is that online discoverability for your business, it's critical. And what that means is people can find you in multiple places when they search for you online, whether it's doing a Google search, finding your Google My Business listing. It's maybe finding you in a local online guide. Maybe it's finding you in a review site. Maybe it's finding you on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and engaging with your content there. And it's maybe just reviewing the reviews that you have online. But all of these pieces really fit together. And when you do fit it together, it goes into the idea of local listing management. And what it means is, customers no longer need to go to your website to get all the information they need about you. It's about engaging them where they are, as I said, in these different places online. But it's also quality over quantity. So when these customers are finding you, it's got to make sure all your information is up to date, it's relevant, it's consistent across your different channels. And when they do this, you're going to have a greater likelihood to have them engage with you.
I want to give an example here how this fits. It ties into to local SEO. And just as an example, I searched, I'm here in Los Angeles. I searched for craft brewery near me. Now, what you see here on the left, this is what's called the snack pack. It's basically what Google determines are the 3 most relevant searches to my query. And you see here, so there's 3 breweries. One of them, Hermosa Brewing Company, is nowhere near me, but by virtue, it has great reviews. I'm sure maybe their listing is fully up to date. They're appearing in their searches, and really what in my snack pack. And essentially, what this means is that multiple breweries that I know are nearer than me are not doing a good job of managing their local listings, and because of that, they're missing out here. Now, on the right side, again, these are the full organic searches. I should also mention with the snack packs, there's a 33% higher rate of getting a click through if you appear in a snack pack. So again, it's not for nothing. Being in there is very important and being relevant. On the right side, we have our general organic searches. What we have here are basically, you see a bunch of local guides, but I see eater, I see hop culture. Basically, these are the value of local guides is very, very important, and ensuring that you appear in these because these local guides naturally appear high in organic searches. So again, getting in those is very important. The next thing I want to get to here is called featured snippets. And essentially, this ties into the idea of local guides. But if you look at what I'm searching for, and by the nature of searching, our searches are getting very, very much more specific by using long tail keywords, which I'll get into in a minute. But here's a local guide. I just searched, what is the best time to visit Colorado breweries? Because within this featured snippet appears on the top of the page. It's this local guide for Visit Golden, Colorado, and it features New Terrain Brewing Company, the newest craft brewery. So just by searching for that and being featured in this local guide, they get prime real estate right at the top of the page in the featured snippet. So I just want to highlight this again. These are just different ways that Google picks up on your listings and can position you in different ways. So I touched on long tail keywords here, and essentially what long tail keywords are. It's basically searches that appear that are 3 or more words. So, you search for shoes, there's a low probability of conversion because it's not very specific. However, as you more and more words into your search, you're getting very, very specific, but at the same time, there's less competition and there's less traffic for it. But at the same time, someone searching for a very specific term, that they're much more highly likely to convert. So it's important that in terms of optimizing your website with the right kind of copy, that not just saying that you maybe are distillers of whiskey or your breweries, it's getting very specific about what you do, because then when people search for you, then they are more likely to, you're more likely to appear organically in their searches, and they're more likely to go to your website. So long tail keywords are very, very important, especially now with the emergence of Amazon Alexa and Google Voice, and people now talk to their search engines to find their solutions. It's very important that you're optimized for these long tail keywords. So naturally, a very important part of online marketing has to do with Google Ads, but not only just Google Ads. It's doing having the necessary site links within your Google Ads manager. So again, I'm using long tail keywords as an example. What are some drink recipes I can make with vodka? Ciroc obviously is running an ad here, but they did something very clever in terms of site links, in terms of offering holiday vodka recipes. It's very relevant, it's very seasonal. If someone in the month of December is searching for drink recipes, tag it into like a holiday recipe, they're more likely to click through into that and engage with their content and want to learn more. Further to that, there's also another site link for where they have to buy. So, whether you're looking for learning to get recipes or you just straight up want to buy it, it's all there. Site links just offer different avenues of entry for people that are searching for relevant topics. Now I know what you're all thinking. So these are all great. Digital marketing is very important. Local presence management is important. But the fact of the matter is, COVID is still here. COVID stinks. You guys are hurting. Right now, on-premise sales are limited, and now especially as we're getting into wintertime, for those of you in colder climates, even if you were allowed to have, on-premise tastings, those outdoor seating, maybe that's not as much of a viable option anymore. So you got to make the money. You got to make revenue to stay afloat. And I know there's a number, I think like 35% of, in a recent survey, 35% of breweries felt that they're not going to have enough funds to get it into the following year, just because the nature of things. And if you look here, actually, because of all this lost on-premise revenue from whether tasting rooms or restaurants, they're going to have to make it, wineries, breweries, distilleries are going to have to make up that revenue elsewhere. And basically, they're looking to offset the losses from on-premise. You're looking at 22% growth to basically just to stay even. So, where's that going to come from? Clearly, the answer is either curbside pickup or ideally direct-to-consumer sales. But the thing is, with so much red tape across different states, it's some states are more lenient on it than others. Kentucky's doing some interesting things by promoting a direct-to-consumer law. But to really make it a sustainable stream of revenue, there's just a lot of red tape that prevents breweries and distilleries to really making the most of online sales and really growing not just within their local community, but growing nationally as well too. So as I've been working on this, as I learned about Speakeasy, and now is the point I'm going to turn this over to Alexandra. Speakeasy has a very, very interesting business model. I think it's great what they do. And I think it's really a solution for some of the smaller breweries, distilleries, wineries that maybe don't necessarily have the muscle to get into into retailers and use that. But if you're maybe a smaller brand, but you're looking to grow, this is a really, I think, strong opportunity. So I'm going to turn this over to Alexandra now. I'm going to let her do her spiel. I think it's really interesting. And after all this is over, we're going to have a Q&A if you have any questions for myself or Alexandra as well too. So I'm going to turn this over now.
Well, thank you, David, and thanks to everyone else for being here. As David mentioned, I'm Alex Beck. I am the VP of Partnerships at Speakeasy. So Speakeasy is an e-commerce company that really provides suppliers the ability to sell direct to consumers on their own brand websites, of course, while still being 3-tier compliant. Next. So as we all know, beverage alcohol is a very specific industry with a very challenging regulatory landscape. So today, really what I want to talk about is just a bit more about the problems that many craft and emerging brands in our industry face and how we at Speakeasy are really working to empower brands to take control over their own growth through DTC sales. Next.
Gotcha.
Perfect. So let's start with the problem, which I know is no secret to anyone here. There are a lot of challenges that brands face when trying to scale. So first and foremost, the 3-tier system, which you'll see here on the left side of the screen. Even prior to COVID, the 3-tier system is very difficult to navigate. It's difficult to get a reliable distributor in each state, and even if you do land one, they may not give your brand the attention you actually deserve. Additionally, most brands don't have the resources to be able to employ their own feet on the street teams in order to build that distribution alongside a wholesaler. And further, of course, now with COVID, distributors and retailers have much less bandwidth and are more risk averse. Selling in new products is increasingly more difficult. If you are successful in landing...
Correct. Sorry.
Okay. If you are not done yet, David. If you are successful in landing a distributor and building your retail distribution, we know that there are some other issues. Brands lose control and lack visibility into who their consumers are. Brands have little to no say, even after the retailer buys in terms of retail pricing, shelf placement, product descriptions, and many other aspects of the actual brand image during a consumer shopping experience. Next. Now for the solution. I think you can probably click it again.
There we go. Yep.
There we go. Perfect. So DTC sales, and more specifically Speakeasy, really just aims to solve a lot of the issues that we're seeing with the 3-tier system and the landscape as it is today. When you're able to provide a DTC e-commerce experience, you as the brand are finally able to actually have that one-on-one conversation with your consumers. You'll be able to take advantage of digital channels to target specific consumers, build awareness, and ultimately create demand for your brand. Once you're driving traffic to your website and consumers want to purchase, Speakeasy can then handle getting the product to the consumer's front door, regardless of where that consumer is or where you have distribution. Another benefit of DTC sales is the control. So when the consumer shops on your brand website through Speakeasy, you get to maintain control over their entire shopping journey, including the branding, the messaging, the pricing, and even the packaging. And more importantly, possibly most importantly, you'll finally be able to gain visibility into exactly who your consumers are, where they're shopping from, and what motivates them to repurchase or purchase the first time. We will provide full visibility into all of your data and analytics from your storefront, including a general e-commerce overview by product and date, geographic information, demographic information, behavioral information, and attribution information. So for example, if you post on Instagram, you can actually see now how many likes you get. However, if you need to redirect your consumer to a retailer or an online marketplace in order to purchase that product, you're going to lose visibility into the transactional information. So you don't know how many of the consumers who actually liked your Instagram post ended up buying that product. However, with Speakeasy's transactional information that we're going to provide to you, you can now actually see who clicked on the Instagram post, followed by who actually checked out and how much they bought. Of course, this is going to give you more insight into how effective your digital strategy is, and it tells you exactly what your return on investment looks like. Of course, you'll be able to utilize this information to further understand who your consumers are, and then go ahead and target similar new consumers and streamline your strategy to optimize your marketing spend. Additionally, we will give you specific consumer information such as the email addresses, phone numbers, etc., to utilize for further retargeting, abandoned cart emails, newsletters, etc. So next, let's talk more specifics with regards to e-commerce. So on the left here, you have a photo screenshot from Drizzly. And there are other marketplace models like Reserve Bar, Mini Bar, or just an online liquor store. In non-alcoholic terms, I equate the difference here. The left would be similar to a Dick's Sporting Goods. The right is similar to a Nike.com. So the difference between shopping at those two websites. With the marketplace model on the left, there are competitive products available for sale. And the marketplace, in this case, Drizzly, actually owns the consumer. So once the marketplace learns that a consumer actually likes gin, they can go ahead and suggest other brands down at the bottom, other gins that the consumer might want to buy, which is distracting for the consumer and ultimately not great for an actual brand that has been sending their consumer to this marketplace. Even if the consumer in this scenario ends up buying Tanqueray, the marketplace now has that consumer's information and can retarget at any point with other product promotions. On the right, you'll see the Speakeasy model, which is a direct-to-consumer model, and this allows the consumer to check out while still on the brand's website. So there's no redirecting, no competitive products, and no loss of brand control. Next. So how does it work?
Whoops, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
There we go,
okay. So in order to create what looks and feels like a DTC shopping experience, Speakeasy is actually building a storefront onto your brand website, utilizing your brand assets. So your fonts, your bottle shots, your colors, etc. This is one of our live websites that I'm showing down here. It's 21 Seeds Tequila, and you'll see the homepage to the left. And then as soon as the consumer clicks on that buy online button that you can actually see in the pink box, it will take the consumer to the next slide to the right, which is shop.21seeds.com. So this is a Speakeasy hosted storefront on a subdomain of the 21 Seeds Tequila website, but of course still looks like the rest of the website. And then from here, a consumer can view your products and proceed to checkout. Next. So here's just the rest of the e-commerce flow. You'll see you can view the products on each page and then go ahead and the consumer would enter all of their information and go ahead and check out. Next. So once the consumer actually checks out on the brand website, Speakeasy takes over from here. So while this looks and feels, as I mentioned, like a direct-to-consumer sale for the consumer, everything is still 3-tier compliant. All of the product will actually pass through a California distributor of your choice and then be funneled through a retail partner that we work with in Los Angeles. We move the product over from the brick and mortar location in LA to a full service, state-of-the-art 3PL warehouse. From there, the product still falls under the retailer's license, but the Speakeasy team is actually able to manage the inventory and do all of the picking, packing, and shipping once orders come in through your online store. Next. From our centralized warehouse in California, we're able to ship to consumers' doors in 30 different states for spirit and beer, which gives you access to about 250 million Americans, regardless of where you have wholesale and retail distribution. So you're just increasing your reach here, basically with just having registration in the state of California. Our centralized warehouse location is actually what sets us apart from other e-commerce solutions. We don't want to have to rely on a fragmented network of independent retailers throughout the country because we think it's really important to maintain control over the entire fulfillment process, including pricing, packaging, quality control, and ultimately the unboxing experience. Unlike a traditional retailer, our e-commerce warehouse enables us to fulfill merchandise and accessories, send point of sale materials, offer cocktail kits, run promos, all tools which will help to set your brand apart from others, build a loyal consumer base, and scale your brand. David, you can go to the next slide. This is really just a review of what I just mentioned. So some added benefits here that of course your consumer is not going to be able to get if they go to their local liquor store and want to purchase your product. So we're doing a lot of different bundles. If you want to give away a sales brochure in the package, everything will actually be packaged all together and shipped to your consumer at once. So lots of really interesting ideas that can be done here just to create an elevated shopping experience. Next.
One more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So lastly, I just want to share a quick case study with you guys. Of course, every brand's success with this type of solution is contingent on their own marketing and the demand that they're actually creating, the traffic that they're driving to their own website. But I do want to show you an example of what is possible. So this is from a distillery that is based in Florida that we work with. And during the course of a year, they saw 300 unique customers shopping on their subdomain. They sold 8,000 bottles. They did almost $500,000 in revenue. And then of course, you'll see the average order value there at 146. As I mentioned, every brand is different. It really depends on where the brand is when we start with e-commerce, how much you invest in any sort of digital marketing or social media, what that looks like. And so there's a lot of different factors that can affect, of course, how successful your program is. But nonetheless, this solution really is there for you as you scale and to help you achieve the growth that you are looking for. Next. So I'm going to stop there. I would love to connect with each of you in the near future to discuss our solution in more detail, learn more about you and your brands. My contact information is listed here, so please feel free to reach out. Let me know if you want to set up a call to learn a little bit more about Speakeasy. You can also set up you can check out our website, speakeasyco.com. for more information. It's a bit hard to read, it looks like on there, so maybe we will just send it out, David, if we can, in an email or something after this. But David, I'll pass it back to you, and thank you so much, everyone, for your time.
All right, awesome. It was very cool stuff. I love hearing that. So I'm going to open this up now to, so truth be told, I was going to have another colleague of mine, Andreas, who was going to share some additional case studies. He unfortunately had to back out at the last minute. He had a client emergency to deal with. Totally understandable. So I think we're just going to open this up now to some Q&A. If you have any questions, please put them into the chat, and we'll go from there. Either if it's for myself or for Alexandra, I'll just read it off, and we'll go from there. So fire away. Oh, come on, I know you got questions. All right, no questions? Come on. Wait, here we go. Do we have one? Here. Okay, we have, let's see, here we go. So we have a question here for you, for two questions. So the first, can you do B2B sales?
Can we do B2B sales? Meaning, can we sell to distributors or to sorry, retailers and restaurants? Is that the question?
Yes.
No. So essentially what's going to happen here with Speakeasy is it's a platform for consumers to be able to buy. And when you look at it from the 3-tier system, the consumer is actually purchasing directly from a retailer. And so that's really where the payment flow is going. It's as if a consumer actually walks into a liquor store and then buys the product off the shelf, except that transaction is happening online. And so retailers and other retailers and restaurants would need to actually purchase through a distributor, which is not our business model at this point in time.
All right, great. So next question. So, okay, so explain shipping from the Midwest to LA. Who covers that cost? And how does that work, shipping product to?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Shipping times and shipping costs are expensive for beverage alcohol. It's a pain point for Speakeasy, and it's a pain point for the industry in general. We have to pay extra just to get that adult signature. Of course, products are heavy. And so it definitely is a challenge. It's something that we're always working on internally to try to make a better shipping experience for our consumers. In terms of shipping, we are not utilizing FedEx and UPS. And so FedEx and UPS, they've told us they don't want to be shipping spirits or beer. We do ship wine through FedEx and UPS. There are a lot of liquor stores out there that are shipping spirits. Typically, they're labeling that as either wine or olive oil, which is just not a game that we want to get involved with. And so Speakeasy has a network of private truckers and regional carriers that do all of our deliveries for us. So they'll take the product from LA. The private trucker will take it actually in full pallets to a state where it's going, or a surrounding state to where that consumer is, and then pass it over to a regional carrier who can actually do the last mile delivery with the adult signature, with the ID check. Of course, we have the tracking information as well for your consumers. So that's how physically the shipping gets done. When we talk about price structure on that shipping, our carriers provide us with flat fee shipping. And so it's not necessarily dependent on the weight of the box, it's just per box. It typically averages about $25 per box, and you can fit up to 6 750s or 24 cans into that box. So the idea with e-commerce is that you really, especially with beers, which tend to be heavier and a little bit lower in price, you really want to upsell your consumer, get them to purchase, maybe 24 cans if you can, so that ultimately you can make the shipping make sense. We also allow for our brands to configure shipping costs on the front end of the website. And so if you want to charge all of your consumers a flat fee of $9.99, you can do that. And then we would just charge you the difference between what shipping actually costs versus what your consumer is paying. There's a lot of options, and I'm not going to go into our pricing structure in depth, but in terms of shipping costs, what I will say is that our retailer takes a smaller retail margin than a traditional retailer. That allows for our brands to actually get some margin enhancement on the front end of the website. And so you can get more dollars when you're selling through Speakeasy. And then ultimately, we do have a lot of our brands investing those extra dollars back into shipping for their consumers.
Alex, I got a specific question as it relates to Texas. So breweries in Texas cannot cannot do DTC to their consumers in Texas. Obviously, your business model is a little different. Are you able to? What's your Texas play?
Yeah, so this is not true DTC. It actually is still going through the 3-tier system. And so what we would need you to do is to actually get registered in the state of California. Any wholesaler in the state of California will work for us. It does not matter. The product will then go through the wholesaler, through a retailer, and then again, it's a transaction between the consumer and the actual retailer.
Great. How do you deal with, in terms of any beers with a short shelf life, or any products for that matter with a short shelf life? That's tricky to say. Is that something that factors into any of your operational mechanisms, I suppose?
Typically, we're only shipping dry goods. And so, if you want a cocktail kit, we're not going to necessarily recommend that you put fresh fruit into that cocktail kit because of the shelf life. With beer and wine, I haven't heard of any beers having a short enough shelf life that we can't necessarily ship it across the country. But we do have, temperature control available if that is something that you're asking about.
Okay. I've seen a couple questions here for in terms of any relevant case studies. I'm happy to provide some afterwards. Any case studies I have. If you have any as well, Alexandra, case studies to share, we can pass those along too. Last thing I see. So here we go. Okay, so next question here. In California, breweries can self-distribute. Can we self-distribute directly to the Speakeasy retailer? Like, can they be their own wholesaler?
You can do that, yes.
Yes, you can. Okay, I've seen a couple questions here regarding pricing. Do you want to? Should they just reach out to you directly regarding pricing, or is there anything you want to discuss now?
I can go into it unless there's something else that people are asking. I can just really quickly touch on pricing. We operate on a monthly subscription fee, and so typically this is for our standard cart. There's always customizations available. There's always other options. So it may be brand specific for you, but in general, our setup fee is $9.99 or $1,000. That covers Speakeasy actually building the storefront for you, using, of course, your brand assets, as I mentioned. And then from there, it moves to a monthly subscription fee of $299. And that's going to cover all of your account management needs. If you want to add or remove items, if you have cosmetic changes that you want to make during the month, that will also cover customer service. So our team handles any inquiries that come in from consumers. And that also covers all the data and analytics that we will pass back to you. And as I mentioned, all the data and analytics will be owned by you as the brand.
Great. Another question here for you. Are there any website backends like Shopify that Speakeasy doesn't plug into?
Does not plug into?
Does not, yes.
No, really, the way that this works from a technology perspective is we're building onto a subdomain of your website. And so it doesn't necessarily matter what your base website is built off of. I will mention that we do offer website design as well, but most of our partners already have websites built. And so really what we're doing is we're just building the subdomain. We'll migrate it over to your subdomain, and then you'll have a buy now or shop now button on your homepage that's just going to link to the subdomain. So it's not really a true integration, and there's really very little technical aspects that your team will need to get involved with.
Great. All right. Anything else, anyone? For good questions. Nothing. All right. Well, Alexander, anything else you want to share? So afterwards, I'm going to follow up. So you'll get a recording of this presentation afterwards, and I'll share Alexander's information as well too. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you'd like to set up a call to learn about, in addition to Speakeasy's value prop, if you want to talk about some ways you can improve sort of your local presence management in terms of whether it's optimizing your SEO or engaging in some pay-per-click or any review management optimizations, things like that. I'm happy to talk about it with you. It's a 30-minute free consultation, no strings attached. If you just want to hear about how I work, how my agency works. We have one more question here. So is the service broken up into zones on their distribution reach map? Like in terms of, I guess, like farther, is it easier to ship to some areas than others? Is it?
So we cover 30 states. If you want to just go back in the presentation, David, if you're able, just pull up that map again.
Here, let me.
Actually, if you're going to send anything out, we can include the map just to send out. But the states in gold, so the states in gold are the states that we cover as of now. And so all of our states, all 30, are included in that $2.99 per month fee. As we look to scale, and we will look to scale over time to as many states as possible, those will also be included. When you look at shipping, so right now we're shipping out of California. It does cost less, a little bit less to ship to the West Coast, costs a little bit more, maybe $3 extra to ship to the East Coast. Our shipping times also vary slightly. And so shipping time to the West Coast right now is about 2 to 5 days. We do air freight to the East Coast, and that typically lands in under 7 days. But that's really the only kind of zone differentiation. As a brand, you can choose to shut off any of these states. If maybe one of them is your home state and you want to service your home state, that's totally fine. You can shut off whatever states or parts of the country that you don't want Speakeasy to service.
Alexander, I have a question for you actually. How long, if one of them does sign up for your service, what's the turnaround to, I guess, integrate and get an online store set up?
Yeah, that's a good question, David. So typically our setup time is about 4 weeks. And that's really just, to be honest with you, because we have a lot of brands that are in line waiting to get set up prior to the holidays. And so I think that will likely calm down in Q1, but I am quoting people right now, probably mid to late January would be reasonable if you're ready to get started right now.
Great. I think, let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, got a question here. Another one for you. Can you speak to how that 3-tier structure remains intact with your system? Am I correct in thinking that the manufacturer sells to the distribution in California, who then sells to the retailer, which is you, who then capitalizes on the customer sale via the brewery's website? If not, how does the sales structure work?
I'm getting lots of emails and texts at the same time. So thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Mara. I received your messages. I will reach out. Yes. So the answer is that you as the supplier are selling to a California distributor. California distributor is selling to a California retailer. So Speakeasy is an unlicensed entity. We don't have any licensing on any level of the 3-tier system, which really allows for us to be able to work very closely with brands. We really view ourselves, as I mentioned earlier, as a facilitator, a technology and logistics company, but kind of the glue that holds all of this together. And so once the product lands at the retailer in California, the consumer will come to your website, check out using the Speakeasy technology, and that money will then get funneled over to the California retailer. So this is a sale between a consumer and that California retailer. And then ultimately the retailer is the person actually shipping the product to the consumer.
Great. We still going? Anyone else? Come on. Going once, going twice? All right, I think, well, if anyone does have any other questions, feel free to reach out to either of us afterwards. I hope you found this informative. I know I did. And I think that is it. Any last words, Alexandra?
No, thank you guys so much. I appreciate the opportunity to chat. It's obviously been a very interesting and different year for all of us. And I think, to David's point with SEO and sort of optimizing your brand online, it's going to be extremely important for brands to really get involved with e-commerce and with digital media, however they can moving forward. Our industry is a little bit outdated, and because of all the regulation, we've really lagged behind traditional consumer packaged goods products for some time. At Speakeasy, it's our belief that now is sort of the time that we're going to accelerate e-commerce in this industry. Things are changing very rapidly. There's a lot of laws that are being looked at. And so, thank you all for being here to learn about some of the changes that are going on and just keeping, abreast of everything in the industry, because it's very dynamic and it's an exciting time for our industry.
Yeah, and just to that point, I mean, there's a lot of local, for instance, in Los Angeles here, the restaurants being able to sell, alcohol or mixed drinks whenever you do a pickup order. I really am a strong believer that, obviously it makes sense now, but once things are, getting back to normal, it's gonna be very hard to put that cat back in the bag. I really do think going forward, you're going to see a lot of changes in terms of alcohol consumption and how businesses are able to sell with customers. So I think this is a very it's a very valuable opportunity. They say don't waste a crisis. This is a crisis, obviously, but I do think going forward this is a really big opportunity for some growth for all of you. So I encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity. I think. Wait, do we have one more? Did one just come in? No, I think okay. So that's it. We're good. So I'll be in touch. Great, Alexandra, great talking to you. And everyone have a great day, great week, and have a good one. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.